Okay, so I keep trying to make this video, an update video regarding the Mayo Clinic and the moving stuff that I get asked about a lot. I keep trying to make this video and feeling really self-conscious or really unconfident, being self-conscious about how many times I say stuff like that. So I'm pushing all of that aside. I can't keep doing this. I just want to get this information out to the people who love us and support us and care about our families. So, you know, I got dressed today and I have makeup on. I took a shower, so that's always a good day to make a video. And I just got back from a really good therapy session, so I'm feeling really clear and grounded and intentional. So this is the best time to do this. Let's just get into it, okay? I have my computer on over here. I made a couple of notes because I don't want to forget stuff. First of all, if you see the title of this video and it's like moving update, you're probably like, oh my God, Sarah, are you moving? And the short answer to that is no, not at this moment. Sorry to disappoint. We still want to, that is still a plan, and I will get into why that's not happening at this moment. So yeah, let's talk about the Mayo Clinic thing. I keep getting questions about that, and I don't have a ton more information. If you watched the first Mayo Clinic update, thank you. That means a lot, and I love how many people are keeping up with Asher and his progress. He's doing really, really well right now. And we did have a new sort of like updated program for him as far as like cleaning out his system and keeping him regular from the GI specialist at Mayo. So we're doing that now. It's an alternative to our method right now, which is mostly based on giving him enemas. And, you know, as much as that is working for him and helping, you know, my son's gonna be 16 one day and he's gonna be 20. And I don't wanna give my adult son enemas, you know, 4 times a week. That's not on my bucket list. That's not on my agenda. So we're trying to come up with alternative things, nutritionally, supplements, other things we can do to keep him regular and keep him moving, because we know that's such a huge part of his behavioral issues. And I'm still waiting to talk to the neurologist/geneticist. The last time I talked to her, she did say that we were still waiting on tests. We have all these tests. You know, they come through on my little Mayo Clinic app all the time, and she just wants to have all of them in before we do a video update. Now, it's been a couple of weeks, and the fact that they haven't initiated that follow-up to me seems like positive in the sense that there's probably nothing really seriously wrong with Asher medically, and that's good. As much as I would love to have them tell me like a really clear, defined issue that we can address and that will help him, you know, focus or talk or stop hurting himself, you know, that would be great, right? But at the same time, he's also healthy, and that's even better. So yeah, I'm feeling positive about that, but I do hope that there is some helpful information that we're going to get, and I am looking forward to speaking to her about that in the future. And like I said in the last video, we have been changing his medication, and I do feel like we're seeing progress with Asher. I do feel like he is acting out less, becoming aggressive less, hurting himself less, making progress, communicating. It's a very slow progress, but when you have a kid like Asher, you are monitoring that very carefully, and you're watching for these tiny little changes and these tiny steps forward, and it's so exciting when you see them. So yeah, he actually is doing good right now. Yeah, so since we've been back from the Mayo Clinic, it has been a little bit rough in my house. I'm not gonna lie. We've had a whole, like, you know, the whole Mercury in retrograde situation last week, and the couple weeks before that was really kicking our asses, basically. So, or something. Everybody got sick. The dogs got sick. Everybody in my family had a flu. There was a lot of stuff kind of coming at us. We had like a huge financial blow, stuff like that. So, you know, it was really gross in my house for a good long period of time. And I think we've come through it, but I did spend a really upsetting amount of time cleaning up, you know, dog diarrhea and vomit and other things. I just, you know, if you've lived your life this far and you've never cleaned up the diarrhea of a giant breed dog, I would suggest just continuing like right on that path. Like you're doing fine. You're doing better than I am. So I know people, it's like, people are like, Sarah, what are you thinking? You know, you're such a glutton for punishment. And I guess I am. I don't know. I'm also just a glutton for caring about creatures and nurturing them. So yeah, it sucks sometimes, but I love my dogs and I love my kids, and they all make giant messes, and that's okay. Even sometimes when in the moment it doesn't feel like it is. So yeah, but I feel like, the sun has been shining. We're moving out of that space right now, and a lot of things are feeling really good. So, astrologically speaking, 2020 looks really good for me. So in case you were worried about that. Anyways, let's talk about the whole moving thing, because I do get asked about that a lot. And listen, I hate when like Instagram influencers, or mostly like wannabe influencers, are like, I get asked all the time, like, what kind of, probiotic do you give your kids? No, you don't. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, I call bullshit. You don't get asked that. That's just a clever way to put the information out that you want. I don't know. For some reason, that's a pet peeve of mine. But that being said, people genuinely do ask me all the time about the moving thing. I run into people I haven't seen in a while in the store, and they're like, oh my God, what's the situation? Are you guys moving? Did you change your mind? What's happening? And the answer isn't that simple. The answer is complicated. So how do I do this? We still want to move. We are still planning on moving. That is still what I know. I don't think or believe, I know will increase the quality of life for Asher, especially, but also everybody else in our family. And the problem is, it's just more complicated than we had hoped it would be, and then probably people think it is. It comes down to a financial issue, at its root. The thing is, okay, so everybody who contributed to our GoFundMe last year, you are all my angels, and that money is sitting aside waiting for us and waiting for this plan to take off, and we are so grateful. That money that we asked for $5,000 on GoFundMe, is about a third of what it will actually take to move a significant distance with a household and everything. So that leaves it up to us to come up with the other 2/3. So at least like $10,000. And that's pretty complicated in a financial position like ours. We are a single modest income family in a very expensive place, and with expensive things in our family, like a child with special needs who doesn't get adequate coverage. We do have a lot of help, and I won't discount that, but at the same time, even with help, it doesn't leave room for us to save a ton of money. And we are constantly trying to figure out ways to get around this. So, we would need a bigger substantive chunk of money, right, to go. There's also the question of the fact that Dave needs to be employed. He needs to have a job in place before we drive away from Bozeman, Montana. Now, I will say that I have been a big advocate of the idea that, Dave, why don't we just sell everything in our house, everything we can live without, and beg everybody we know that hasn't already, but to give us more money, and then just get out of here and find you a job when we get there and make it work. And he says, Sarah, that's how people become homeless. So we are on different sides of this, and that's okay. We are working with it, but without him having a job in place elsewhere, and it being the right job in the right place, and without us having a substantial, huge chunk of money, there's no way for us to get out of here. That's just like facts. So the thing about Dave getting a job somewhere else is that it's really, really hard to get a job, in a different city or state, before you get there. And people ask me all the time, what does Dave do? And the answer to that is Dave does whatever job he's given. Dave has worked in a lot of different industries. He works in printing right now, but he's worked in comedy management, and he was a copy editor for a huge publication for a long time. He worked for shipping in a textile. He was like a shipping manager in a textile company. He is a really loyal employee. He's a really hardworking employee. He learns quickly. He's really open to doing new things. So it's not that thing of like, well, you have this really clear career path, and so what do? And then you just find that job. It's a little more, tricky than that. It's a little like wishy-washy around that issue. So, and when you are, say, we've been looking at the Pacific Northwest a lot, and if you are hiring for a job in Seattle and you get 150 applications, and Dave is the one guy who doesn't even live in the state, in my opinion, that's a huge detriment, no matter what his resume says. And he has this really great attitude of like, if it's the right job, it won't be. I still feel really iffy about that. So we're kind of stuck in this like weird, position of, wanting to leave and having kind of some things that would help, but not, it's weird. It's weird and it's tricky, it's complicated. And I feel like I owe people an explanation because so many people have contributed to that, and so many people have heard me kind of like bleh about it for so long, and I feel almost obligated to share this kind of information with people, and I don't mind. I don't think there's anything, I'm not ashamed of the fact that we don't have a ton of money and that we struggle like so many families, and Jesus Christ, I mean, everybody does. Everybody does. 85% of people I know don't live without outside support, either from their families or from the government, or, we're living in like a weird time right now. So I don't think that there's like this shame around being low income. And so I talk about it openly, and I know that rubs some more old school people the wrong way, but I don't care. So it's also really important for me to tell people here where I live in Bozeman that I love them, and it's not, sometimes I feel like people kind of internalize it or take it personally when I'm like, I don't want to live here, and it's not good for my son, it's not good for me, we don't like it, and like, whatever. That is not about the people. I know so many amazing people here. I've made good friends. I have met some incredible individuals and connections and had some great experiences here. And I will cherish those always. It's not like this huge regret in my life. I love you guys, and I think the people closest to us and people who know me know that it's a matter of our situation and our priorities as a family and the things that we want in the future, and a quality of life for Asher and for all of us issue. And I hope that you don't take it personally, and I hope that you don't let it reflect poorly on your vision of this place. This is an amazing place for a lot of people to live. Different people than us, people with different situations and different finances and different priorities in life and different things that they enjoy doing, different needs for their kids. But that's not less than or more than, it's just different. It's like if I told you I hate mushrooms. I do. I don't like eating mushrooms. That's not me saying that people who like eating mushrooms are bad. It's just literally a difference in our, I don't know, taste bud biology, whatever. That might not have been like my crown and glory metaphor moment. Anyways, so that's kind of where we're at with the moving thing. I'm looking at it from a couple of different angles. I'm trying to like build my own thing over here that maybe can help us move forward. I'm trying to think of different avenues that I can explore. Maybe I can get hired somewhere else. I don't know. I am hireable. I haven't worked professionally in about 5 years, but I'm trying to figure out how to create a resume around that and show people that I do have a lot of skills that could be used. I do have experience in a lot of things. And if you want somebody to get stuff done and be a multitasker, you need to call an autism mom, because I feel like people, okay, so I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I don't know what people maybe think that I do, like with my time or what that means. I don't really consider myself like a stay-at-home mom in the classic sense. I consider myself kind of a project manager, especially for Asher and his needs and the things that have to go on there, which are incredibly time-consuming. They take a lot of time and energy to handle Asher's needs, Asher's schedule, and all of the stuff that goes into that. And I know that's pretty vague, but I'm not gonna like outline my day for you. But also I am, you know, like a hustler. I do a ton of other things. I'm constantly trying to bring in cash. I do dog sitting all the time. I have a regular childcare gig. I have a baby that I take care of 15 hours a week. I sell clothing still, vintage clothing mostly, every single day. I do that on several different platforms. I am constantly working, and on top of that, doing the Asher thing, and then just taking care of regular life stuff, taking care of a family. So I don't know what you think about that situation, about stay-at-home moms or my situation in general, but if you were ever to like come over to my house and look around and see that's not that clean, and you're like, oh, what do you do with your day, Sarah? Because you're a stay-at-home mom. Like, I do everything else, okay? And also, if you would come to my house and say that to me, like, maybe don't come to my house ever again. We're not friends. So, I also get asked, this is delicate, but I get asked, why won't some people support this or help us to do this moving thing? And you know what? Here's the thing. Families are tricky. Relationships are tricky and delicate, and they have this balance to them. And the simple answer to that question is, I don't know. You would have to ask them. And you know, a lot of people are going to know who I'm talking about. I don't know. Ask them. I don't know. And then if they tell you why they don't, maybe tell me, because I don't know. Bottom line is, I am not entitled to anyone else's money or help. I'm not owed it, and I already get a lot of help. I do. We are incredibly blessed and privileged in the way that we are not a family who's ever going to go hungry or not have a place to live or not have our lights on. We have, what do you call the thing that's like under the trapeze? You know, we have like a safety net, or we have a lot of people who will always be there for us when things are really, really bad or really, really hard. This particular issue of needing to move, and I 100% know in my heart that this is exactly what Asher needs to have a higher quality of life and have a better chance at independence and his very best life. I don't know if there are other parties involved that don't agree with me or don't think I know what I'm talking about, or just think, you know, this is just something you have to figure out on your own. I don't know. It's delicate. It's weird. I'm talking in circles around it because I just know some people in our sphere will understand what I'm talking about. But the short answer to that is I don't know. And I know we'll get there. I have a lot of confidence. I have a lot of hope that there are days here, especially when it's like snowing and Asher's having a really hard time, and I could really use some extra support and some extra sunshine maybe. Yeah, those days are hard, and they do get kind of low. But I will tell you that so every time somebody says something nice to me and tells me I'm doing a good job, hold on, sorry, that my phone did a weird thing. I'm still super uplifted by that, and continue to be kind of blown away that people are as interested as they are. That is, you know, pretty fascinating to me. Yeah, if you have any advice on this topic, please, you know, hit me up with it. You know, if you have any advice on how we can get Dave a job in a city in a blue state. City, blue state, those are like the top priorities. There are other things that we would love to have as a family, but those are pretty much like the deciding factors. And if you have any job advice, if you just want to give one of us a job, just want to employ us, great. That, you know, definitely hit me up. If you have any leads or any thoughts or any wisdom that you would like to share regarding this situation, I would love to hear it. And we can use all the help and support that we can get. I hope that I'm a person who's given out enough love and support and light to people that I can get that back from the world. I definitely try to be. So if you need anything from me, if I can be of service and of help, I always will do my best. And yeah, that's really it right now. And if you want to talk about it further or have more questions, please And that has been my update video on moving / Mayo Clinic stuff. And I will say goodbye. I love you guys.